Because why this is very important, Senator Melaye, is if you are a consultant firm, and you're giving out services, then there must be some form of remuneration given to that particular firm. Before this was raised in the Senate, was there any attempt at finding out if this is away from the monies that should have been given to the consultant firm, in this case, System Specs?
What I raised in my motion is that it is irresponsible for any government agency to have signed 1% payment with System Specs ab initio, because 1%, because if you consider the volume of money involved, it would have been very irresponsible to have done so. And I think these government agencies have also realized that. Even System Spec, also MD, also realized that, and there's been recommendations. In fact, one of the agreements written ab initio is 100 naira to 1 million naira, which is about 0.001% payment to the platform. And I want to believe that this investigation by the Senate at the end of the day will arrive at a very reasonable percentage to be given to any platform that is operating and the TSA. As I speak to you, I understand there's recommendation already from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. I don't know how true it is, but it's been reported in the pages of newspapers that the charges should now be charged per transaction. And I think there's a recommendation of 5,000 naira per transaction. If you're doing a project, if one transaction is about 2-3 billion, you pay 5,000 naira. If it is 10 billion, it's 5,000 naira. And I think that's reasonable, and that's more appealing.
Senator Melaye, do you think it's worth it? Look at it this way. The central bank has a platform, the NIPS platform, that's been there since 1993. And since that time till now, they've not been able to come up with a tool that can be used to mop up government revenue. But System Specs been able to put forth a platform in 4 years that's able to mop up all the revenue of government into a single account. Do you think it's worth it that they are paid 5,000, as you said, the recommendation from the Accountant General's office, 5,000 per transaction? You think it's worth it?
Everywhere in the world, charges are made based on volume of money involved. And if you look at the volume of money involved, tens of billions are turned over daily. So, paying 1% is outrageously high, and this has even been acknowledged by System Specs themselves. And they've even written letters asking for renegotiation of these charges, they themselves. And that was my grounds, that was why I raised the issue. And I think there's going to be, at the end of the day, there will be an agreement to what, and I want to believe that it's not as if they're going to work on credit. I'm sure by the time the investigation is over, there will be an agreeable percentage or payment terms agreed upon.
You know, Senator, a lot of people, if you say that money is already being returned, and you say that System Specs agreed that the 1%, which some people say was supposed to be shared between System Specs through another formula, between System Specs and even some of the banks and even the government agencies themselves, even though that is not very clear. If you say that 1% was too much, how much then would you recommend that, private bodies collect for doing government jobs? The reason we ask this, or the reason I ask this, is because the federal government knows that it has to source revenue from other sources since the price of oil is down. One of the areas where it will be looking at is taxation, and in those areas they always also employ the services of some other companies to help collect tax. Would you also be looking at that particular area? Would the Senate be looking at perhaps creating a body of laws regulating just how much government agencies can part with as a commission to whatever private body intends to help government collect revenue?
That's exactly what the Senate is doing now. We're trying to block leakages and negotiate to the barest minimum to the advantage of Nigerians and the National Treasury. And that's exactly what we're doing here. And what we're saying is that we're not saying any private company that is engaged or being a consultant or engaged in or whose platform is being used by the federal government should not be paid. No, that's not what the Senate is saying. But what we are saying is that nothing outrageously nothing outrageous should be paid to the detriment of our national pulse. And,
sorry to interrupt you, but just yesterday, the Senate President did raise the issue that it was seen that this oversight functions of the Senate were not very thorough. He was talking in respect to the NSA's, to the probe on the office of the NSA and the funds that, were appropriated to it for arms and ammunition, as it were. Do you think that the Senate is going to be sitting up this time around in terms of its oversight functions, especially in such areas as involves government revenue?
I want to believe that not only that we're going to sit up, but there will be a departure from the old order, because the 8th Senate is completely a different Senate. And I want to assure you that this is the first Senate that is coming up with a legislative agenda. And the primary agenda, one of the cardinal objectives of this Senate is to make sure that we take our oversight functions very seriously, because periodic oversight would have revealed that these monies were not properly utilized, and there must have been what I regard as satanic collabo between the legislators, as it were then, and these agencies of government. Because if there is no collaboration at every stage, every corner of government is supposed to be monitored, and there is no MDA that is not being, that the National Assembly does not have oversight functions over. And the era of awarding contracts, when one stage is not completed and there's already an issuance of continuation and payment for the second stage, I want to believe is over. The Senate President have intimated all chairmen and deputy chairman and committee members that this is a different Senate, where we're going to work with sincerity of purpose, of heart and commitment, where we're going to take our oversight functions very seriously. And I want to believe that the positive concomitant effect will be to...
Senator Melaye, I'm afraid we have to go now. But very quickly, I don't know if you can do this for us in 30 seconds. We can't let you off without asking you about, you've said something about being maligned online and in the social media. What comes to mind again is the social media bill, the proposed social media bill. What would you be saying to Nigerians concerning that bill? Now you have a chance to speak to them, not even on the social media.
I want to correct you by announcing that there's nothing called a social media bill, and there's no bill like that before the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, at least the 8th Senate. And what we have is fictitious petitions bill, not the social media bill or anti-social media bill. What we have before the Senate is the fictitious petitions bill, and this is just a proposal, and every bill, there's a process to the enactment of any law. There will be a public hearing where Nigerians will come and exercise their desires. And I want to assure you that this particular Senate, the 8th Senate, we are operating on 3 cardinal objectives and agenda. The first agenda, the people; the second agenda, the people; the third agenda, the people. We swore to uphold public interest above personal interest. And at the end of the day, the Nigerian people's desire and wishes will take the order of the day.
Senator Dino Melaye, many thanks for speaking with us and also speaking to the people on this matter.
The pleasure is always mine. Thank you.
Sunrise still, it takes a moment. We'll return shortly. Join us again.